Hi, I'm Kat, and today I have for you a greeting in Romanian and also a true crime case. So let's get started with the greeting. Noapte bună. Noapte bună. Noapte bună. Well done, guys, you just said good night. Before we get started with today's video, just a quick disclaimer. I don't mean any disrespect to anyone I'm talking about in the video. This is for educational purposes only, and all the information I'm giving you is already found in the public domain. I will also be sharing my own views and opinions around the case I'm talking about. They say that home is where the heart is, right? They came here to the UK for a better life, and they found it and found people to be welcoming. For them, Boston is now home. Families who moved from Eastern Europe to Boston, Lincolnshire, say they love it here, it just feels like living back home. Boston is a small market town, and in 2016 there were 11,000 immigrants in the town, around a sixth of the population. Many say they can get by speaking no English, and there are Eastern European pubs, shops and jobs for them. Others said it's like living in Lithuania. They do have respect for the British culture, but there is so much of Lithuania in Boston that it's hard to get homesick. Entire streets in the town are filled with businesses which say they have almost no English customers. Signs and notices around the community are often published in as many as 6 languages, so locals can all read them. Boston's location in East Anglia, in the east of England, makes it attractive to migrant workers because of an abundance of factory and agricultural jobs. The town is also home to Lilia Valutyte, her husband, their daughter aged 5, and her sister 9-year-old Lilia. July 28, 2022 was a day just like any other. Lilia was playing outside with her younger sister with a hula hoop and a doll pram. They had fun during that afternoon whilst their mom was inside working and keeping an eye on them. But a day which started wonderful ended in tragedy when Lilia was brutally attacked on the street she was playing on with her little sister. Sadly, Lilia lost her life that day. So let's just find out what happened. And again, another disclaimer, everything that I mentioned in this video is alleged. Not a lot of information is available out there, and this is still very recent and is still ongoing. 9-year-old Lilia Valutyte lived with her 35-year-old mother Lilia Valutyte, her stepfather 32-year-old Aurelius Savikas, and her younger 5-year-old sister in Boston, UK. Lilia attended the local Lithuanian school and took part in the dance club and language lessons. She was a ray of sunshine. Her parents were great people. They would get involved in their community, offer help to anyone who would need it, and they would participate in school events. Lilia loved dancing, and she was a Harry Potter fan. So of course she loved Harry Potter books as well. Not much else is known about the family apart from them being Lithuanian. By some accounts, Lilia's mom is a business owner who opened in March of this year an embroidery and screen printing shop called Sava Code. By other accounts, Lina is the owner of MS Agricultural Services, which seems to be a recruitment agency, but it could be that she actually owns both of them. I'm not sure, but like I said, we don't have so much information to work with. I did try my best, but I couldn't find out much. This is an ongoing case. The trial didn't start yet, so I'm sure that a lot of information is not being released, so it doesn't hurt the case and the investigation. Allegedly, one of Lina's employees was Davidas Skebas, a 22-year-old Lithuanian fruit picker who lived in a Victorian semi-detached house in Boston, just 200 yards away from Fountain Lane, where Lina's agency was. His home in Thorold Street overlooks Boston's Central Park. Davidas, who was born in December 1999, came from an upper-class family of business people from the industrial city of Utena in northeast Lithuania, where members of his family still live. He was studying there, and then he came to England for agricultural work so he can sustain himself. After some time, because of some health problems, he moved back to Lithuania, but he returned to Boston recently. On July 28, 2022, just a couple of days ago, Lilia and her younger sister were outside on Fountain Lane playing with hula hoops and a doll pram, just 100 yards away from the town's famous St. Botolph's Church, known as the Boston Stump. Fun fact, St. Botolph's Church has the highest tower of any parish church in the country. Technically, the Stump is the West Tower, but often the term is applied to the church as a whole. The tower rises to a height of 272 feet and is 365 steps high, one step for every day of the year. The church is particularly well known for its close ties to the Pilgrim Fathers and the Foundation of America. So if you are in need of exercise, I'm just going to throw this here, then this is the tower for you to climb. You will be rewarded with gorgeous views over the surrounding fields and as far out as Lincoln. Lilia and her sister really looked like they were having fun on Thursday, July 28th. They enjoyed being outdoor and in each other's company. Their mom Lina was a few yards away working on her laptop inside of what was either a cafe or her recruitment agency office. Again, they are different accounts. Lina would do this regularly. I mean, if you look at the road, it's just like a sidewalk, it's not busy, it seems isolated with not much traffic, not many people walking by, and whenever Lina would work inside, she would keep an eye on the girls, constantly checking on them. At around 6:20 p.m., a man approaches the girls, and the next thing you know, Lilia is lying on the ground, her mom the first one to check what had happened. This is a parent's worst nightmare. Lilia had been stabbed for seemingly no reason. CCTV footage shows police and paramedics rushing to the scene of the attack on Fountain Lane to try and help Lilia. Other police officers are closing down the scene, ushering people away. Sadly, Lilia was stabbed to death and she passed away from her injuries shortly after the attack. At the scene, late on Thursday night, a police car was stationed on either side of the alleyway to cordon the area off to the public. Two forensic officers in white suits were working at the scene before leaving in the early hours of Friday morning. An investigation was opened. Teams of police officers from Lincolnshire Police investigating Lilia's death searched drains, gutters and bins in Boston town centre and looked under parked cars. Officers were seen opening drain covers and lowering bucket grabs to pull out mud and debris. Other officers looked in the street waste bins and large commercial wheelie bins in the area. The search was centered around Red Lion Street and other roads between the murder scene and Thorold Street. The police was looking for the murder weapon and for the killer. The next day, on 29th of July, Lincolnshire Police Chief Superintendent Kate Anderson announced that 2 people have been arrested as part of the murder investigation, reassuring the public that this was an isolated incident. On 30th of July, the same people have been freed with no further action being taken. Nearby residents were being told that the police were looking for footage of a man running away. On the same day, police released 4 CCTV images of a man taken 5 minutes before Lilia was found and warned anyone who sees him not to approach but to call 999 immediately. The images were taken in the Wormgate and Fountain Lane area around 6:15 p.m. on the same day Lilia was killed. Her death prompted an outpouring of grief in the town, which is known for its large Eastern European community. Hundreds of floral tributes as well as cuddly toys have been left by local people in tribute to Lilia at the top of Fountain Lane. A Lincolnshire police statement said, quote, "We have this evening, 31st of July, charged 22-year-old David Skebas with the murder of 9-year-old Lilia Valutyte." Lilia tragically died following an incident in Fountain Lane, Boston at around 6:20 p.m. on 28th of July. She is believed to have suffered a stab wound. Her parents are being supported by specially trained officers, and we would urge for their privacy to be respected at this particularly difficult time. Their welfare continues to be a priority for us. Following a combination of intelligence and information supplied by members of the public, armed officers made an arrest in the Central Park area of Boston at around 2:45 p.m. on Saturday. End of quote.
A young and beautiful angel whose life ended way too soon. The words of those who knew 9-year-old Lilia Valutyte, stabbed and killed in her hometown of Boston. Outside shops and offices on this quiet street, Lilia lay dead even before police arrived.
Officers were called to the scene of an incident at Fountain Lane at around 6:20 p.m. yesterday. A 9-year-old girl has sadly died as a result of what we believe to be a stab wound. We've arrested 2 people in connection with the incident.
Lincolnshire police call this an isolated incident, but were reluctant to confirm who had been arrested and for what specific reason. As they deployed extra officers throughout the day, forensic teams carried out extensive searches for evidence to piece together what happened here on Thursday evening. For those who knew Lilia and her family, this shock death is devastating. Valutyte is a friend of the family, but also leads the Boston Lithuanian community group.
Nobody deserves such end of their life, especially a small, young, beautiful angel who had lots of ideas how to live. She danced, she sang, she was really lovely girl, and I can't believe that such things can happen in our town.
She says many families are now worried to let their children outside.
Of course I'm scared. I'm scared, I'm worried. I'm worried about any people who live in the town, about children, about adults, in the town center when it is even not night, when lots of people in, so how we can feel? Of course, we feel vulnerable because we don't get any support.
This is a town now rocked by yesterday's killing. Many here are struggling to come to terms with the death of an innocent girl stabbed in broad daylight. And as the murder investigation continues, so do the tributes. But flowers and words will be little consolation to the family of 9-year-old Lilia, whose life was cut so short.
These are the final moments of Lilia's life. Playing together with her younger sister, something they'd always do while their mother worked in the office next door. But this CCTV footage shows them playing for the last time. 10 minutes later, Lilia was attacked and killed. Officers ran over to try and help 10 minutes after they say Lilia was attacked. Then paramedics tried to save her life too. Quickly, people passing noticed something had happened and were ushered away.
This was a very swift investigation, and in 3 days, police already arrested the suspect. And the suspect is none other than Davidas. You remember the guy I mentioned at the beginning of the video, allegedly Lina's employee? Yes. Davidas was the one who killed Lilia with a single stab wound to the chest, allegedly. So he was arrested on Saturday, 31st of July. He was arrested at his home, just 200 yards from where Lilia died.
Following our appeal on the release of the CCTV, I can confirm that we have arrested a 22-year-old man on suspicion of murder. He is now in police custody. Officers detained the man in Boston Central Park area around 2:45 p.m. today. The arrest follows a combination of intelligence and information supplied by several members of the public. I would like to thank everyone for their assistance as we continue our investigation.
At least 20 officers stormed his house, and it seems that he was trying to escape through the backyard on Thorold Street into the city's Central Park, but was ultimately captured 200 yards from the murder scene. The police managed to track him down using a drone. Wearing a black t-shirt, black Adidas sweatpants and sneakers, he was photographed while being put into a police car handcuffed. Allegedly, he showed no reaction during his arrest. His home in Thorold Street, which overlooks Boston Central Park, was searched for evidence by forensic officers over the weekend. Chief Superintendent Martin Parker of Lincolnshire Police said, quote, This is a heartbreaking case that has affected many people in Boston and further afield. The response to such a devastating incident has involved committing significant resources to the investigation and engaging with people in Boston who are understandably shocked by Lilia's death. Our officers have been in the town speaking to the public and listening to their concerns. We'll continue to maintain a significant presence over the coming days. Finally, I'd like to extend my thanks once again to the public and the media who have provided help in a challenging and fast-moving case. Your support is appreciated by our officers and staff." End of quote. David Askebas was charged with murder on Sunday evening, 1st of August, and appeared before Lincoln Magistrates Court on Monday. He arrived at court in a prison van shortly before 9 a.m. No bail application was made and he will be held in custody for 6 weeks until his next court date. A plea and trial preparation hearing has been set for September 19, when a provisional trial date will be fixed.
Sangeeta, can you tell us what happened in court today?
Well, David Askebas appeared in court this morning in a grey tracksuit, and he spoke only to confirm his name and address, and was told by the judge that he faces the most serious offence that anyone can face in court. He's charged with murdering 9-year-old Lilia Valutyte just down the road from where we are in front of offices. Police say they believe that she suffered a single stab wound while reportedly playing with her younger sister in front of the offices her mother was working at during the time of the attack. And I've spoken to people who knew Lilia. They say that she had been playing with a hula hoop and with a toy pram with her younger sister when she was killed, and that she was a quiet, funny little girl who loved to make her friends laugh and loved to make her sister laugh too. And I've been here all afternoon. I've seen so many people lay flowers and pay tribute to Lilia, and seen parents bring their children who've left toys for her, and they've waved her a little goodbye for a child who was so loved in this community. Now, 22-year-old David Askebas was charged yesterday. He's been remanded in custody where he'll remain up to and during his trial, and he's next due to appear in court later in September, where he's expected to enter a plea then.
Okay, Sangeeta, thank you.
A service of prayers and reflection was held in memory of Lilia at St. Botolph's Church on Sunday afternoon. 150 people attended, and they were lighting candles to remember Lilia. Lilia was described as being full of life and joy. Tributes to Lilia, including Hogwarts items, were left where she died. School friend 9-year-old Tia Mills wrote, quote, "You are the bestest friend. Hopefully you are now with the angels in a better place. You are probably watching Harry Potter." End of quote. Local residents left flowers and notes near the cordon. One tribute said, "So sorry this cruel world has taken your life, beautiful girl. May you be in the arms of the angels." Paul Skinner, leader of Boston Borough Council, said, quote, "The town is united in mourning following the very sad and tragic death of a 9-year-old girl in Boston. We can't for 1 second imagine the pain the family and the young girl's friends are going through, and our heartfelt condolences go out to them. As a sign of respect to the family of the 9-year-old girl, the council will fly a flag from the municipal buildings at half-mast." End of quote. Explaining the moments before Lilia's death, a local resident told the Telegraph, "The little girl was playing in the street with her younger sister when it happened. They had some toys out. I'm sure her mom wouldn't have been far away, as she always checked on them. She was a very quiet girl, and I just can't understand it." A friend of Lilia's mom, Lina, described the attack as inhumane. Taxi driver Jonathan Newton, 55 years old, who also lives in the area, said, "We are a close-knit community here, and the town is rocked to the core by this tragedy. She was just a little girl. How could anyone do this to a 9-year-old? It's the most shocking tragedy to ever befall our little town. I'm just speechless." End of quote. Lilia's dance teacher Mantas Grauzinis said it was hard to understand what happened. She feels like she lost her child. She doesn't have any children of her own, but Lilia was like her child. Local businessman Alistair Arundel offered to place a memorial on unused land he owns near to where Lilia died, subject to planning permission. As a father of two himself, he can't begin to imagine that the pain Lilia's family is going through, and he felt that offering the land for the official memorial is the least they could do. A Boston Borough Council spokesperson said the community had been united in grief since Lilia's death. The council said that if Lilia's family decide they would like a public memorial, the council will be happy to advise on the options. MS Agricultural Services, run by Lilia's mother, was mentioned in the press in quite a few news articles as being Davida's employer, leading police to look into the potential motive of unpaid wages driving the attack. On 1st of August, it was reported that Lilia's mom, Lina Savike, her husband and their other daughter, aged 5, are in hiding over fears they too could be targeted. They have been taken by police to a safe house. One theory police are investigating is that the murder may have been a vendetta attack. A close friend of the family told The Sun, quote, "The family are so worried. They have not been able to stay at home. They are worried whoever did this could still be out there. They are worried they could be a target. It is just so awful. They have the impossible task of trying to come to terms with the loss of Lilia. Then they still feel they need to protect their other little daughter," end of quote. A fundraiser for Lilia's family was set up by 36-year-old Ronnie Bennett, who lives in nearby Swine's Head and owns a business on the outskirts of Boston. He said, quote, "I had heard all sorts of things about what had happened, and then I was sat there on Friday night seeing some people almost disregarding what had happened because Lilia was Lithuanian. There were also some reports describing her as being from the Lithuanian community. That angered me because she is from the Boston community and is one of our own. So I really wanted to show her family that people in Boston are behind them. The money is just to make sure that Lilia gets the send-off she deserves and to support the family with everyday living," end of quote. At the time of me writing the content for this video, over £7,000 have been raised for Lilia's family. The target is for £8,000 to be raised, with the hope of it being able to pay for a funeral and to support the family with their everyday bills for a period. The Just Giving page shows that 215 supporters have so far pledged their support, with donations as high as £500 being given by some. If you guys are interested in donating, I'll leave the link for the fundraiser in the description below. Ronnie Bennett added, quote, "I've got a 9-year-old daughter myself and 3 other children who play out in Boston, so I was absolutely sickened when I heard about the news," end of quote. Now, according to an ex-girlfriend of Davida's, the killer, he didn't work for Lina's company, MS Agricultural Services. However, this has not been confirmed or denied by the police. As far as I know, and from various press reports, allegedly the police are considering this to be a revenge attack because Lina didn't pay his wages. I'm not entirely sure because, you know, like I said, there's not a lot of information out there. And this is basically everything that we know so far. Like I said, this is ongoing, and I'm sure that a lot more information will come to light during the trial and sentencing, so I'm actually looking forward to that. I have a last piece of information, however, but I must warn you, take it with a grain of salt. When I did my research on the case, I looked on Lithuanian news websites as well to see if maybe I can find out more, and I came across an article on a website called tv3.lt. There's some explosive details on there, but like I said, take it with a grain of salt because I haven't read this anywhere else, so I have no idea if it's true or not. Bear in mind that I actually had to use Google Translate to read it. So according to this article written on the 1st of August, TV3 News managed to get into contact with Lina, Lilia's mother. It seems that Lina is the daughter of a 55-year-old woman from Kaunas who tried to burn her and the guests at her wedding. Her mother allegedly turned on the gas taps and tried to burn Lina herself, her husband and the sleeping guests, a total of 11 people, whilst intoxicated in Telšiai County in Lithuania around 3 years ago. Quote, "We feel very insecure because 3 years ago my mother tried to burn us down and they said that if I put my mother down, my father will take revenge and cut my whole family," end of quote. Lina's mother went to court in a trial in Lithuania after the terrible, tragic attempt that almost killed them. In May, the closing arguments were heard in court. Allegedly, Lina believes that the murder of her daughter is her parents' revenge. Quote, I thought right away that it was my father's revenge because my mother got 8 years. She is now awaiting her final trial. There is a right to appeal. And my cousin also threatened me about a month ago that people will come to my house. And it doesn't matter to them whether there will be children at home or not. End of quote. At the time of this article being written, apparently Lina didn't know Davidas was arrested for Lilia's murder. She said that he has never seen her and believes that he could have been hired by relatives remaining in Lithuania. Quote, I would think so because he arrived from Lithuania a month ago. She is asked, would you believe that your mother would take even this kind of revenge? She replies, you forget that she tried to burn me with my whole family on my wedding day. According to another news article from v.lt, another Lithuanian website, Mr. L. Pernavas told LRT radio that Davidas, the alleged killer, was known to Lithuanian police officers. He was punished administratively for various violations, including for the use of narcotic substances. Mr. Pernavas, who I believe is a police officer, and I apologize if I'm mistaken, said that Davidas is known to Lithuanian police even though he was never convicted, but he was punished administratively 5 times for different violations. The last one was committed last year when he was punished for the use of narcotic psychotropics and other psychedelic substances. Administrative punishment is allegedly different from a crime by a lesser degree of social danger. Now, I can't wrap my mind around what happened. Why was Lilia killed? When I first read the news about Lilia's death, I had the feeling that the killer might somehow be connected to the family in some way, because it just didn't make sense for someone to just randomly stab a 9-year-old girl playing with her sister. I mean, who does that? I'm not entirely sure if Davidas was employed by Lina or not, although this theory would, kind of make sense. Maybe she didn't pay his wages, he had rent to pay, he needed money, maybe he wasn't paid for a long time and he wanted to prove a point or to scare Lina into paying him. Maybe he didn't mean to stab Lilia, just to give them a scare. I have no idea. But then it was a single stab wound to the chest. It kind of feels like he knew exactly what he was doing. And don't get me wrong, I'm really thankful that Lilia's 5-year-old sister wasn't harmed, but then I'm asking myself why? How come that Lilia was chosen? How come her younger sister was spared? And if it really was for revenge because of a debt, then why not attack Lina instead? Why decide to kill a child? I don't know, it just kind of doesn't make any sense. But then again, it kind of does make sense in a different way, because if they are in hiding and the police, got them in a safe location and the police is suspecting a revenge, that means that it is a possibility that perhaps more employees have not been paid and that's why they are protecting the family in case someone else tries to attack them. I don't know. What do you guys think? Let me know in the comments below. Or perhaps is the grandmother story plausible? Could this have been the motive? Could this be the reason why Lina and her family are still in hiding even after Davidas was arrested? Is this the vendetta angle that the police are working on? I don't know. I just have so many questions. Somehow I feel like there's more going on here. I have no idea. Please let me know, what do you guys think? Let me know in the comment section down below. Thank you so much for watching today's video. Take care, stay safe, and I will see you in the next one. Bye!